Upon reflection, there might have been a little bit too much wiener talk yesterday.
Yeah.
Confirmation. So,
I have to admit, I was like to my wife, I was like, things were said at work today.
When Billy said to me, you're just going to say anything that's on your mind, I said, you know what, maybe we should go through a filter here. And so
Especially coming from me.
Billy clearly couldn't control the conversation, so he got sent to the back today.
Yeah.
On my left, and I'm Izzy Gutierrez of ESPN, not Dan Le Batard. On my left, we got Mike Ryan, who probably will be more under control or control the conversation a little bit more from here.
Hold on a second. Was it my job to control you yesterday?
Not necessarily control, but participate enough to where I wasn't leading the conversation in a particular direction.
I would throw in week 0. I went to Kid Rock and Bud Light, which I never thought was going to happen. I was just like, let's do anything. But
Billy was really locked in yesterday.
I had notes. I was checking things off, crossing things off, depending. And if I decided we adequately covered a topic, I'd draw a line all the way through it, or I'd do like a little check mark or a half line.
Yeah. And then when I would check in with you, you'd be like, what?
Well,
that is the Stugotz chair. Know your teammate.
Yeah, well, he's just playing the role at that point. But
first time teammate.
We can forget about the topic after this, but there was an obvious follow up that nobody asked you. It's just you got a circumcision at 18. Number one, did it hurt? And what's the recovery time look like?
Only the mornings hurt.
Oh.
And
I assume
the
they numbed
recovery
it.
time was about a week. Maybe a week and a half.
Can I ask a question?
And we're back.
Yeah, I feel like this isn't where we should go.
How long till you got back on the horse?
Go ahead, Bill.
Do you go to like a? Is it like that's a cosmetic thing at that point, right? So you go to like a plastic surgeon. Like, where would you even if you're interested in having said procedure done? Do you go to like your primary care physician? Like, who do you talk to?
I didn't have a primary at
Does it get a
18. I
cute
went
little-
somewhere, and I told them, I said, hey, look, I need this, and he was like, you know what, you're right. And I was done.
Does it get a cute little neck brace?
Greg Cody's here.
Does it wear a cone like a dog?
All right, enough.
Do you guys need me for this hour? Or
I
can
said,
go?
step up, Chris, get us out of here.
Lucy
And that was his
Rodin
follow-up.
is here.
Visual with a cone
Not
is
for long
hilarious.
if this keeps up.
Okay, well, like I said, we can close the book there, but I mean, there was still some meat on that bone.
We've got.
Whoa.
Well, no, there isn't. Or
No.
It's just. It was just the hoodie. It's
more of
that
a
got
fillet.
removed.
Yeah.
Greg, don't worry, we're not going there with you today.
No.
We
Are
brought you in.
Wait, are you circumcised?
I am.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice to know.
no.
Just check
All
it
right,
off on
we've
the
gone
list.
too far.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
mark you down.
Yeah, but
Enough.
I didn't wait until 18.
We'll go around the room.
Enough.
I think I was 18 minutes old when they did mine.
But you went to a place,
Still
not
too
a
long.
doctor.
It was a doctor's office. What do you want me to say?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a tattoo parlor or something. I
Writing
don't
notes
know.
over here. This guy.
Not a tattoo
All right, so I
pilot.
got Greg. This entire side of the glass is cut.
We need to move on, Game.
And here I thought Mike
Roy,
was going to take us in
Roy
a
just gave
different
me a
direction.
nod.
Greg.
Lucy, N.A.
I'm not playing this game.
Greg, I saw that there was a question mark in the sky that
I am.
aliens put there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, thank you for getting us off the
Look at
conversation here.
How'd those get there?
Yeah, and John Wiener's not even here to contribute. That's the
Okay.
irony.
Jeremy, I don't want to make assumptions, but it'd be an upset. I'm marking you down as a yes.
Greg, you are the most powerful man in international media, you know.
Am I?
Yeah, apparently.
How's that?
Because we have here in Miami the most famous athlete in the world.
Yeah, we do.
I almost said maybe, but he's the most famous athlete in the world based on
Tyler Hero?
Instagram followers, I think. And Lionel Messi, outside of that one storm-filled event where he was introduced, hasn't really talked to the media or hadn't really talked to the media.
At all, right.
And then Greg Cody, put his foot down via print. What'd you do?
I wrote a column after not the last game, but the previous one, where they got to the final. And I said, this is getting to be a little bit ridiculous. And the analogy I used was, imagine LeBron James comes to the Heat, and he's been here a whole month, and he still hasn't said anything. He hasn't done a press conference. He hasn't spoken to the media. And 6 days later, they had the Messi press conference. So
Wow.
I took a victory lap. On my podcast, The Greg Cody Show, I took a victory lap, even though I'm sure it was totally coincidental, but it made me look good.
Whereas when you went to the press conference,
how
was
was it?
everyone congratulating you and saying, "Good column, it's because of you that we're here right now"?
I'm sure they were, but I wasn't there to hear it.
Wait,
Yeah, no, I didn't go to the press conference.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
What? I mean,
You demanded a press conference and then didn't attend?
okay, I didn't demand. I said it would benefit the fans and the team.
What were you doing?
Okay, I was off that day. I wasn't writing that day.
You go where the stories are, though. This is the most famous athlete to ever play in South Florida.
I checked with Michelle Kaufman, who covers the team great for the Herald. She's fantastic.
And you basically said you got it?
No, I said, "Are you I assume you're going." And when she said yes, I didn't see a need to go on my day off.
He was playing the note the other day that, there wasn't room for me. The Herald only had one spot.
Not only
Michelle
that.
got it. I'm like, Dad, you could have gone.
If I had forced my way in, I'm sure I could have, but I chose not to.
Forced my way in.
You're never going to get the opportunity to speak to the man again.
Oh, I think we will.
Oh, really?
He's going to be here two more years after this.
But how do I know that you'll go to the press conference?
Are you going to demand he say something
don't.
and then not print it?
No.
It was actually a pretty cool press conference.
It was pretty good.
There's rumors that he actually mentioned my dad in it. We have
right.
here, we with translation, we have here a clip of his press conference.
Mi decisión pasó por muchísimas cosas.
First, I'd like to thank Greg Cody, whose Miami Herald column convinced Inter Miami to finally let me speak to the public.
Seguir disfrutando.
I constantly find myself inspired by his words and stories, especially those about 1440.
De esta manera con
Mr. Cody, will you please stand up?
y la verdad que no pienso
That kind of thing. I salute Greg's Lobos and wish them well this fantasy season.
del fútbol
Many of you have asked about my pre-match rituals.
de la vida.
I have a few, but none as effective as listening to the Greg Cody Show with Greg Cody during warm-ups.
Y hoy te puedo decir que
I love that show so much that I even listen to it when warming up for other things.
no solo por
Baby, nothing sets the mood quite like 3 facts, Jack, and you know it.
el
The move to Inter Miami has introduced me to an elevated level of fashion.
de la ciudad.
I've found that I love Western-style pearl button shirts and anything from the selection at shop.thegregcodyshow.com.
No en Miami, sino en
I'm proud of the success we've had so far, and there are many great things to come.
ir a
Right now we have our party hats on.
Dallas
Will I sign a contract extension and stay here beyond the next 2 seasons?
y el trato de la
You never know. Now put a Lobos mint under all your pillows and dream big.
así que sería hermoso para todos.
Good night, everyone.
Gracias, Leo. Muchas gracias a todos.
He's a big fan of you.
Amazing.
Great.
A lot of praise.
You
A lot
are
of praise.
such an
Yeah.
influencer.
I am so honored that Messi would mention me at some length
At length.
in the press conference. I should have gone.
Now, the
just to
Argentinian
hear that.
accent is usually pretty tricky for me to pick up on, but I don't think he actually said Greg Cody, and I don't think that.
Wait, what?
I heard it.
I heard the
I
translation.
didn't hear
it that way, Mike.
We hired a professional translator, so I assume it's legit.
Got
Greg,
paid
at,
for that.
at this point, you need to hold out for the one-on-one, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, you got everyone else the time. I feel like
Yeah.
now it's time for,
Exclusive.
Yeah, especially now that I know that he's a fan of
Yeah.
my podcast.
Listens to your pod before sex.
Izzy, I want to make a quick correction. You said you threw out there that Messi was the most followed athlete on social media. Ronaldo actually has 601 million followers.
To Messi's.
483 last I checked.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
it's
quite
not-
a gulf.
Yeah, it's a pretty big one.
I
don't count
agree.
the ones
I
that play
agree
in
with
Saudi
Izzy.
Arabia.
I agree with Izzy though. I think if you're off the top of your head, you're saying who is the biggest athlete in the world right now. I think it's Messi.
Yeah, I mean there are plenty of superficial reasons as to why Ronaldo would be more followed than Lionel Messi.
Right.
Also, he's just a little bit more active there. Although Messi's kind of finding his voice, and that's what I thought was so cool about the presser that you demanded, Greg, is he actually provided pretty thoughtful and insightful answers. This was a person that didn't really like talking to the media. He kind of enjoyed it. You saw how long, at length, he spoke about the Greg Cody Show.
Yeah.
And
He did a couple one-on-ones separately, too.
yeah, he gave really good revelatory answers about how much he didn't enjoy
PSG,
his time in Paris, and he gave up the goods, saying, "No, I'll play on artificial turf,"
Right.
Which I mean is a leveraging tactic that you could have made to improve the league, but he's like, "No, I'll play," and that's the thing about Lionel Messi, and Tata Martino also gave voice to
I
this.
love his
Is
name.
Tata, the Messi likes playing all the time.
Yeah.
And if you watch his playing style, he does conserve his energy. It comes off a little bit lazy sometimes. He just walks across the pitch, and then, like, with the snap of a finger, he turns it on.
Amazing.
Which is why you need a bunch of workhorses around Messi to make it work. And Argentina found their success in building a team that would do all the work and let Messi just be special. As we saw in the Cup final, he can be special in these moments, in these flashing moments, so he conserves his energy. He wants to play all the time.
It's amazing because he's played all 7 matches since he's been here. It started the last 6, and now they play Wednesday and in the U.S. Open Cup semifinal, and then Saturday in the resumption of MLS. and he's going to play both games. He said he's going to play Wednesday. You have to assume he's going to play Saturday.
Does not like getting subbed out. He likes playing all the time.
At age 36, I think he's a marvel. But like you say, he walks during a game more than any other player I've ever seen.
But he's so instinctual. Doesn't get caught offside really all that much.
Right.
This is how he will age with grace. And if he conserves his energy like that, he doesn't play a physical game. And I was worried about the League's Cup because the Mexican teams don't have this shared investment in Messi.
Yeah.
I imagine that once the league season resumes here on Saturday when he's playing against New York Red Bulls, the officials are going to – I mean, if you want to read into a conspiracy theory, the way that he's going to be officiated is going to be pretty tough if you're trying to stop the man, because everyone needs to protect this investment.
Right. Absolutely.
Mexican teams don't give a shit. They'll just kick the hell out of him.
Walking around at 36, I'm not that impressed with. If he wants to play flag football with me at 46, then I'll be impressed. But
Wow.
but we can't let Greg Cody skate here.
Are they ever going to wear the black jerseys?
Yeah, they'll definitely wear those. It's I mean, part superstition, but also
yeah.
part like in soccer, home jerseys. It's really a primary jersey, and unless you're playing a team that has a similar color scheme, and not many teams do, you tend to stick to your primary jersey.
Greg, you tried to convince. By the way, you're in your 69th year of life. Congratulations. We've been not talking about that enough.
I'm still
No.
not
You
there
are
yet.
in your 69th year of life. You will celebrate your 69th birthday
Okay,
coming
that's
up.
true. Yeah, that's true.
Let's just
Because
make
we're
that
all
clear.
we're all one on our first birthday.
Yes.
It's
And
weird that your literal birthday is the birthday that nobody counts.
Yeah. But you tried to tell your son that the reason you weren't at the press conference for Messi was that because he doesn't understand journalism. I'm pretty sure he understands what a day off means and that you just didn't want to work.
Right.
You tried to tell him on your podcast that he didn't understand journalism. So could you please explain journalism to me?
Well, journalism at my age and in my situation is that I don't make work for myself if it's not asked of me. I just don't.
But you made the
I'm
work
sorry,
by
I
asking for
don't.
the press conference.
This is a new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
We haven't talked about Lillard in a while, and with good reason. There hasn't really been much on the Damian Lillard front. If you're a Heat homer and defensive, you're happy that the NBA said they're going to look into this James Harden thing because he did some of the similar things. But Lillard, on a posting spree when he released new music, did something that made Miami Heat fans perk up. He reposted an IG story of someone just merely mentioning the word Miami. And that's good enough for me to reignite my excitement for Damian Lillard. Also, other little tea leaves are that the NBA schedule came out, and there's only one Portland Trail Blazer nationally televised game. It's against Miami, and it's after the trade deadline.
Very shortly after the trade deadline.
Very shortly. And look, Dan's done a bunch of reporting on this. I can confirm that the internal feeling inside the Miami Heat is that they're not going to negotiate against themselves. It's cyclical. Yeah, you can have your strong opinions that the offer is not up to snuff, but the reality of the situation is it's the best offer out there. And if you want Miami's offer to get better, someone's going to need to top that offer, and no one has. So to lash out at the Miami Heat's offer for being bad, they're not just going to make it better to appease you. And Damian, unfortunately, is this type of superstar, or fortunately for his whole reputation.
It's a good guys finish last situation.
He's not going to do the things to make that situation untenable, is he? And that's typically what superstars, or even people like Goran Dragic, have to do to get their way.
Didn't Amin tell that story? He convinced Goran of making a stink out in Phoenix. But the thing about Damian is, right next to James Harden, he looks just as bad, even though he's been doing it about as normal, about the right way, if there is a right way to do this.
Well, you know why
that any
that
of
is.
the superstars have.
You know why that is, though? Because major entities are doing the bidding. I'm not going to put you in an uncomfortable position, but you have places like The Ringer that are now arguing that Damian Lillard should team up with Rudy Gobert and Anthony Edwards.
That's my favorite so far. There's been a lot of really unbelievable trade propositions thrown out there as here's how we can get Damian Lillard away from Miami and wanting to be in Miami. But saying he should willingly team up with Rudy Gobert in Minnesota has to be at the top. That's
Don't you
incredible.
take that as a compliment? Don't you, as a Miami Heat fan, say,
Absolutely.
hey, we are at that Boston Celtics level of hate, or I don't know if the Lakers have that level of hate when they were really good, but yeah, everybody, hates us because they ain't us. Yeah. And it's just one of those situations where they're just openly saying it now. And even other GMs are saying, you know what, not that team.
No one wants to see this happen.
I think that part is funny because I think it's also there's these different reputations with the Lakers, with the Knicks, with the Celtics, where everybody believes like, oh, when that team is good, basketball is at its best. The same way, realistically, we sometimes talk about certain college football programs that way. And here in Miami, we know that at the top of college football, we talk about how great it is when Miami is great and how that's good for the game. When you look at it in basketball, I don't know that those franchises need to be great for basketball to be great. We've seen now when the Warriors are great, that's great for basketball. When the Heat are great, that's great for basketball.
Well,
it doesn't
there's a
matter.
reason why people only talk about that when, like, the Knicks are in the playoffs and they're good, because they're not good all the time. Mm-hmm. And so when they are good, it's good for basketball. It's just refreshing. And so anything that's refreshing is good for the sport. You just tie it in because, it's New York, and you make it feel like it's a bigger deal.
I do hate that tired line, though. Every time I hear it, the NBA is better when the Celtics and Lakers are relevant. The NBA is better when the Knicks are relevant. In my lifetime, the Knicks haven't been relevant all that much, and the NBA seems to be doing just fine. And that old adage doesn't apply to the Miami Heat in basketball, even though business boomed during a great run for the Miami Heat. And the Miami Heat, outside of maybe the Spurs, and there's a handful of teams, Spurs, Lakers, Warriors, Heat, they're among the greatest franchises in that sport of this century. Since their inception, if you project their success over the long term, they're a more gloried franchise than the likes of Philadelphia and the likes of Boston.
People tried to tell you while it was happening that it was bad for basketball, the Miami Heat's big three, but it was just, again, because it wasn't their teams. Because I just did that podcast, 4 Years of Heat, Chris loves the name, and when you talk about those teams, or talk about those players, they look back at those times and they loved it. There was just the purity of competition. They loved what LeBron and Dwayne and Chris represented as players. They weren't some, just all about Hollywood, like Joakim Noah tried to imply, trio that were just doing it for the fame. They were pure competitors, and it brought that level to the league. Like, look what they made the Spurs do, play perfect basketball in an NBA Finals to win a championship. That's not bad for the league. They did it very well.
And the national animus against the Big Three Heat and how the Big Three reveled in it was just delicious to watch. It was a 4-year joyride to be down here and witness not only the greatness of that team, but how everybody else hated us. And it was terrific. But on Lillard, I have a question for you guys, for everybody, because am I the only one surprised that there isn't a bigger, more competitive market for Lillard's services? It can't just be that he's threatening, I have to go to Miami. If I don't go to Miami, I'm an unhappy guy. It's got to be more than that.
That seems to be what it is, though. And you know that meme from The Office where everyone's got the finger guns and it's 3 people facing off? I understand why people are projecting. Hell, as a Heat fan, I'm projecting on the media carrying water. But everyone is upset, be it the Miami Heat, with not a good enough offer. And as I mentioned, it's cyclical because there's no better offer out there to force the Miami offer to improve. People, me as a Heat fan, I'm mad at Portland because there are no better offers out there. What are we going to do? You're the ones prolonging this. And you have this amorphous entity, which is all the other teams that are refusing to get a better offer out there because, as we know, Lillard wants to be in one spot.
And when you want to be in one spot and you're that great of a player, but you're at the point in your career where you are when you're Damian Lillard and you're past 30 and you have the contract and the numbers of what that contract is going to look like, you have to be the right team, the right organization, and the right place right now to be able to compete with the core that you would have built around Damian Lillard immediately. And so that immediately siphons off at least half of the league from wanting to compete in this sort of offer. Then there are other teams that get eliminated based off the fact that they just like their cores enough, and their cores are younger, and they might not want to move pieces for Dame. And so then you're looking at basically 6 or 7 teams who would want to be in on it, looking at their superstars, at their situations, at the fact that Dame wants to be in Miami, and saying, no, we don't want to make an offer that's that much more competitive than whatever the offer is that's being made by Miami, which is why we've ended up in this weird stalemate where 50 some odd days later after a trade request, we're still sitting here.
But in Simmons' defense, from Portland's perspective, is Karl Anthony Towns not a better offer than Tyler Hero?
I was just thinking about this. So, like, you've got me thinking all this time about that idea and just the Kawhi Leonard of it all. Like, hey, let's not send him where he wants to go. Let's make that figure that out after his contract is up. And when you've got the Anthony Edwards doing what he's doing with Team USA and Steve Kerr saying he's unquestionably the guy, and you've got, a potential big-time talent that you can get back, I would see Alex Rodriguez as the exact type of team owner or part owner that would push for that. It's like, we put all our chips in with Rudy Gobert. Why would we stop now? Let's go for a championship. And if he wants to leave after a year, fine. Let him leave after a year. It starts with an MI.
It is a different situation than Kawhi in that Kawhi had an expiring deal, whereas he probably wouldn't have that strong opinions on, I'll go there for a year. It's fine. If Lillard had an expiring deal, that would change the entire narrative here. What I'm interested in is Portland's perspective. Well, Karl Anthony Towns fits better. It's a better piece for their rebuilding project. You and I were talking about this. If Portland is rebuilding, why are they trying to make a roster that just fits? Amass talent.
Look what the Heat did.
Talent. Tyler Hero is probably, in his career, going to make the All-Star game a couple of times. Rebuild like Cleveland did. I don't care where the positions are. We'll find the continuity somewhere else. Let's just build
And you
talent.
can do that really quickly if you're a good organization. I mean, look at what Miami did in 2003. They had Dwayne, Caron Butler, Lamar Odom, Brian Grant, and they had a great season. Rafer Alston flipped all that into Shaq, and then a year after that won a championship. And so if you're Portland, the last thing you're trying to do is compete next year. In fact, you're probably way better off tanking next year and then just, officially starting the rebuild the following year. But yeah, this is one of those situations where if the Heat if there's not another person creating an offer for them, they're just going to be stuck here for a while.
The part that's funny also when you talk about the Minnesota trade, right, is they gave up all those first-round picks to get Rudy Gobert. So it's literally, hey, we can offer you Karl Anthony Towns as a direct swap for Damian Lillard, which I don't know that – I don't see a reason why that would make sense for Portland outside of trying to get Damian Lillard out of town, which – if you're going to send him to a place he doesn't want to go, then why would you do it? It all just seems sort of convoluted. To look back at an offer that Miami's making, what you were just talking about, we talked about 3 weeks ago on this show, 4 weeks ago on the show, which was it's not about the offer to make Portland the most competitive team right now. It's what can amass them the most amount of talent, the most amount of picks to be able to build their future around Scoot Henderson.
I mentioned the other day how I get Carmelo Anthony vibes from Damian Lillard. Not so much type of player or whatever, but just if you remember, obviously the big three set their contracts up to end at the same time. Carmelo, just do a little different.
He'd wanted to get all the money possible.
And Damian Lillard doing it a little bit different, trying to be a little bit more loyal, and he's kind of getting burned here. And he's not going to do the James Harden thing because he doesn't want to look like James Harden looks right now. And so it's just like, you just should have been the bad guy earlier.
Yeah, and being the good guy has bought him nothing. Because he wants to go to one destination. He's been really loyal to that franchise. He's probably stuck it out several seasons too long over there. And nice guys finish last. He's not having that kindness reciprocated, or I'm sure that's how he's looking at it. And to your point earlier about a Maverick getting involved like Alex Rodriguez, as a Heat fan that just wants Damian Lillard on the roster, I welcome that. Someone else please get involved to force Miami's hand to make this offer better. Because everyone's just lamenting that Miami's not just saying, okay, here's an extra couple first-round picks just to end this all already. But that's dumb if you're trying to build.
But Greg, if the season starts and Miami is in this holding pattern, how are Miami Heat fans supposed to handle that?
You know what? They'll be disappointed, but they'll wait. As long as he hasn't signed with another team, I think they're in a holding pattern, and I think they're okay with waiting. But listen,
watching Tyler Hero play, that would be awkward.
That would be awkward.
Yeah, but
Sure,
the price could go up. Tyler Hero is the type of scorer that can go out and get 35 in game one
And
of the
look
season,
great and make
and
the
you can
trade
all just
happen.
be like, price went up. Yesterday's
Exactly.
price is not today's price.
Do we believe, though, that if Damian Lillard is traded to another team beside Miami, and that it's a good situation, he's going to a contender, don't we think he's going to play 100%? Do we really think that he's going to let his play be affected by the fact that he's not to the team he wanted to go, but he's in a good situation? I don't believe that. I don't think you're going to see any change in his level of play. I think he's a professional. He's competitive. And I think he's going to play like it no matter where he goes. I don't buy the whole idea that, if he doesn't go to Miami, boy, you don't want to get Lillard.
This is the new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings. Legendary Miami Herald columnist Greg Cody is in with us, as he is every Tuesday.
Did I make that status, Greg? When I left the Miami Herald in 2012, did you guys say, oh, man, we just lost a legend?
Yes.
Lies.
Yeah, I did. Nobody else did.
Poppy
but I
Cock.
did.
You did not
I
say
had your
that.
back.
Phenom.
Greg, I grew up reading you and your columns, and one thing that you were an absolute local legend at was the Go Get 'em column. Now, you had some good Go Get 'em columns,
Right.
and you had some David Bostons, let's be honest.
Sure.
But I am
got 'em,
asking,
though.
but
They
I
got
am
'em.
asking
Yeah,
you.
good callback.
I am
David
asking you to
Boston.
run it back.
Yeah.
All right? And do what you do best. Jonathan Taylor, go get him.
Look, I said a couple of weeks ago when Dalvin Cook was still available that they don't need Dalvin Cook, that Raheem Mostert, to me, is a very underrated back.
The rare don't go get him column.
But there's a but here.
Greg's butt.
Jonathan Taylor is better than Dalvin Cook. He's younger, appreciably younger, especially at that position where being 4 years younger is important, crucial. And so, yeah, I can see, depending on what the asking price is, I can see them going for Jonathan Taylor. I don't think I'd give up a first-round pick for him. I don't.
Well, that's what I want
I
to
don't
talk
even think they think they're going to get a first-round pick.
Well,
right?
the reports are they're leveraging the media as everyone does, and I think we're kind of getting exposed to what the game is between insiders and these teams. But I want to really harp on, and I know he's a good fit for Miami, not necessarily a good fit at $16 million. Maybe this is a type of scenario where his team seeks out a trade in which they think they can get an extension, but it's not totally contingent on that. But Jim Irsay, I mean, he's funny regardless, but no, we don't want to pay you market value, Jonathan Taylor. But when you're out on the trade market, we want a first-round pick. we value you that much, but we're not going to value you enough to give you the offer that would go in line with a first-round draft pick. Jim Irsay playing both sides here, Greg.
Right. Well, look, whenever I write "go get 'em," and I do like star power on a team. I do. I love that.
You're a sucker for star power.
I'm a sucker for star power.
You're a sucker for cupping your hand up against your ear,
right,
and speaking directly to the Miami Dolphin fan base with "go get 'em."
Jonathan Taylor.
Or demanding press conferences.
It works sometimes, by the way, because you did that with Messi, and that's going great.
Thank
So,
you very much.
And you also wrote the Messi "go get 'em" column, too.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg.
Of course.
Greg, your fingerprints are all over this whole Messi situation, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. I hate to brag. Look, it's all a matter of what it takes to get Jonathan Taylor. If they can get him for a second-round pick, hell yes.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Dolphins don't have a third or a fourth, right?
Yeah, but Dad, that you're the fantasy guy that let's send him 3 backups for Jonathan Taylor. You have to make a trade that they're it's going to take a first-round pick. To get Jonathan Taylor.
Then I wouldn't do it. I would not give up a first-round pick for Jonathan Taylor.
Can I ask you a question, Cody? What did you wave Billy off so aggressively for? You were so disoriented.
That was me. He was waving
was it
off.
Chris?
Yeah. I was calling him out because he was doing the whole thing about you go after Jonathan Taylor, you don't go after Dalvin Cook. Yeah. While on the bright line this morning, my dad was like, Dalvin Cook, Jonathan Taylor, same player.
Comparable skill.
Yeah,
comparably good.
Betrayal by
but
your
as
son.
I said to Mike, at that position, and maybe that position alone, the difference between 27 and 23 is very large at running back.
I think Kansas City is an interesting option for Jonathan Taylor. They got to figure out what they're going to do with Chris Jones, and they're not in the greatest cap situation. But this could be a one-year loaner type of deal. And I imagine Jim Irsay would be like Nick Young with the question marks all around his face. Like, wait, so you'll take a low-tier offer? You'll play for the same total for them, but not for me? But, yeah, that – from what you're hearing from Jonathan Taylor's camp this is a principle thing, too. He's insulted that the team he's produced for so long is not giving him fair market value.
Cody, you have a bunch of question marks around your face. Do you know who Nick Young is? Do you remember what the reference was that he was talking about right
No,
there?
I don't.
Didn't think so.
No.
Yeah.
Swaggy P? Why would I say Swaggy P as if it would help?
Whatever happened to Jonathan Taylor Thomas?
Great question.
JTT. Was he a popular kid? Because I remember him on all the teen cover, Tiger Beat and
Simba.
stuff. He's got to be like your age, right?
Young Simba.
I think JTT's got to be over 40.
He's 41.
Yeah.
Wow.
Does he still look good?
That's Beyonce's age.
I think he went to school or something. Big mistake. Kids, don't go to school.
At
if you're a
40?
Hollywood actor, don't go to school. You don't need it for anything. You're going to be a star forever.
Well, he's not a star forever.
Well, because he went to school,
Oh,
which
so-
is the mistake.
Yeah.
If you're a
Wow.
young and upcoming star, don't bother with school. You don't need it.
I'm seeing a picture here from 21.
He's like a director or
Not
something,
looking-
right?
He's not looking
has
like
something.
the old JTT.
Was he from Home Improvement?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who among us, Chris?
I'm not throwing stones. It's just I would have thought, if you would have said to me, I would have thought he would have still looked like him. Wouldn't you have? Like years ago.
Would he still look like a 14-year-old
Chris almost
boy?
gave
I
us
don't
the.
know.
I thought JTT was going to look like JTT, like be like a heartthrob forever.
Is he a short king?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure.
He's got like a jewel in.
He's got.
Is Jonathan Taylor the type of running back for Mike McDaniel? I know he's like a little bit bigger, burlier. Is he? I don't know how fast he is. He's got to be pretty fast, right?
What I mean, Mike McDaniel's zone running scheme, which is
it more
from
about
the
speed or
Shanahan,
does it not matter?
I mean, Mostert's got great speed on the outside. The zone running scheme is designed to get you on the outside, but you can also be very successful running straight up the middle. It's such a great zone blocking scheme that you can get production out of pedestrian backs. Like Orlandis Gary had a 1,000-yard season one year running behind this. Alfred Morris out of FAU had a really successful, productive season his rookie year in this scheme. You get a talented back like Jonathan Taylor, and you couple that with a tried and true, brilliant hack. It is an NFL offensive hack. If you run the zone blocking scheme that is from the Shanahan tree, you will get running production.
And that's another reason why the Dolphins are just about the last team that would overpay for Jonathan Taylor.
especially when they need to pay a bunch of Dolphins coming up. Christian Wilkins, Javon Holland, Jalen Waddle,
Right.
Jalen Phillips, Tua. Like, the Dolphins have a bunch of money they need to spend, so I'm glad they're not spending on running back.
But the LA Rams have proven, like, if this is the window, you go for it, you win your Super Bowl, and you pay the consequences afterwards. They had a similar situation where everybody's up, and then you're going to have to make difficult decisions. But as much as I praise the zone blocking scheme of the Shanahan tree, Mike McDaniel from that, their running game really struggled to come online. It was confusing at the early part of the season. We saw it gradually as the season went on, as they made the acquisition of Jeff Wilson, that it got better and better. But what is the ceiling? What is the norm for this? Is it the high end of what we saw last year, and that's it? That's the peak? If so, then yeah. Throw caution to the wind, go out and get someone like Jonathan Taylor. I'm not so sure about paying him $16 million over the course of his career, but you'll cross that bridge when you need to get to it.
I'm curious about the other side. I'm curious about Jonathan Taylor, or where any sort of high-end running back wants to play these days. Do you want to play in a place where you're an every down back and they're wearing you out and you're getting the big numbers, but you're probably 2 years away from not getting another contract? Yeah. Or do you want to go to a team maybe like the Dolphins, which, pass heavy, run on occasion, save yourself a little bit, but will you get the big contract as a result of that? Seems like it's lose-lose for them.
Well, McCaffrey got the big contract by being a workhorse. Derrick Henry, big contract.
You have to be in the passing game part of the workhorse, right? You can't just be a handed-off guy.
No one calls a pass catcher a workhorse, though. We come up with different names for them.
Nick Chubb
got
just called
McCaffrey.
I think you want the big contract now, not knowing if you're going to be in the league 3 years from now. So it's like,
so you need the big numbers then. Don't worry. I'll worry about my knees later.
Exactly right.
Numbers.
Give me one big deal and I'll be good.
McCaffrey is a workhorse when healthy. That's a problem. But Nick Chubb doesn't really get involved all that much in the passing game, and he got his money. In terms of health in his career, there's more of a rotation in a Mike McDaniel offense than there was in Indianapolis, where he was the workhorse. But you just mentioned, are you more inclined to get that big offer if you're playing in that kind of scheme? He just was, and he wasn't getting that big kind of offer from Jim Irsay.
Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are both going to have at least 100 passes thrown their way, at least, maybe 120. And this is not an offense that needs that workhorse back. This offense is just fine with the committee led by Raheem Mostert.
You don't want to salt the game away. I think what you're saying goes against the identity of Mike McDaniel's coaching scheme his entire time as a professional. It's just, okay, we'll be explosive early on, and then we'll salt the game away, like the Atlanta Falcons of Kyle Shanahan did several years ago. Control the game on the ground as you've already imposed your will.
All right, I got a new game I want to play. It's called Form a Poker Hand. That is one card, a great athlete, and your other card is a celebrity, but they have the same name. I'm going with Jonathan Taylor and Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
They don't have the same name. They
Just
have a
close enough. This is close enough for my game.
So it's close enough.
That's
Yeah,
my
JT
poker
and
hand.
JT.
I don't think any of you can come up with a poker hand better than mine.
Michael Jordan.
Shit.
The game has ended.
The game is over.
That was fun.
JTT's 5'5".
Short king.
Yeah. And he also went to Harvard.
An efficient appearance from Lucy Rodine.
Excellent.
If you're going to go to a school, I guess, and break the Billy Gill rule of celebrity, that's a pretty good one.
I mean,
An
he went
always
to
winning argument, by the way. Michael Jordan. Boom, I'm out.
He went to Harvard to study philosophy and history. I mean, listen, kids, if you're going to college, those are two wasted majors, 100%. Like, that is student debt if I've ever heard in my entire life. Philosophy. Another one, Russian art history.
No
not
way.
necessary. That's such a specific thing that you'd be studying that you need from. Like, the jobs aren't aplenty on some of these majors.
Are you saying JTT studied Russian art history, or is
No,
that
my
just
cousin.
an option?
No, my cousin majored in
So
that.
that's just
and
shade
I-
at your cousin.
Yeah,
for
no,
no
I
reason.
told him, I go, dude, you're wasting your time getting a major in that. That's not a necessary
You never
thing.
know who's building a crew and needs that skill set. This is
Right.
like this. He's such a fit for Danny Ocean. It's not even funny.
Oh, you're saying like to be a criminal?
There's a heist. If there's if there's an art
Son of a
heist in
bitch,
Russia,
I'm in.
guess who's speed dial line one.
I don't think it
That's
even
right.
has to be in Russia. It just has to be Russian art, right? Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Can you imagine being on Jeopardy and that's one of the categories? Russian art.
Speaking of Jeopardy, I heard that Stephen A. Smith was on Family Feud with his family, and they got absolutely destroyed. Which I
was the
guess
competition?
isn't speaking of Jeopardy, technically.
Who was the competition?
I don't know. Roy told me. I figured this was a lob up for Roy to.
Yeah, he played against Tamron Hall's team, and it wasn't even relatives. Like Stephen A. Smith brought his relatives to the show.
And Tamron Hall did not.
No.
Well, that's not how Family Feud works.
No,
you
that's
can't
a
just
fight.
pick random people.
What do you guys make of the ESPN move to bring Shannon Sharp on 2 days? I like what Stephen A is doing. He's like, I'll argue with Mad Dog Russo 1 day a week. I'll argue with JJ Redick. I'll argue with Michael Irvin. But for 2 days, it's Shannon Sharp. It's the fantasy booking.
I am learning of this at the very first moment.
Oh, you
right
didn't?
now.
You didn't?
I
know
didn't
that?
know.
I
No,
didn't
it's
know.
You
official.
work at the company.
Shannon
Yeah,
Sharp.
no.
Yeah, Shannon Sharp.
I did not get the alert.
2 days
I
a
like
week.
that idea. I like Stephen A. Smith arguing with Skip Bayless's other partner and just sort of cutting him out of the deal.
Mm-hmm. Richard Sherman's also doing Undisputed. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Is he Fridays?
So
a
is
good
Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Once a week.
Yeah. How do we think that's going to go? Greg?
Little Wayne?
This is the new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
So Stephen A's defense of his family losing in Family Feud 560 to nothing is that Tamron Hall cheated. The quote is, "We're supposed to be Family Feud, but she had executive producers and researchers. I could have brought the crew." That's what Stephen A says. But then it gets
JJ
even better.
Redick?
He said, despite attempting to carry his team with 2 number 1 answers, which doesn't make any sense, Smith said that he was a little rattled by the response to his niece being on the show. Quote, "It was my niece on the end, who all the men were drooling at," Smith complained. "It was pissing me off and distracting me. I don't like people looking at my niece like that. The point I'm making is this: it was not the greatest representation of the Smith family. There were some other relatives I might have needed to have."
Him just like,
Sounds like an excuse
him
machine.
taking the victory lap
Deflection.
on.
Hold on a second. It was his
Number
niece's
one.
fault. It was the fault of the other team for cheating. It was everyone in his family but him because he
Yep.
brought the wrong family members, which still wasn't his fault, even though
And
he
he had
decided
2
he
number
was
1
on his
answers.
He had 2 number 1
Yeah.
answers.
He brought the crew. Wouldn't the crew just argue with him because
could
that's
have,
what he
he said.
does?
He
would've.
They never.
He
they
should have brought the crew.
They
yeah.
never would be in agreement on anything. They'd be,
would-
"Oh, terrible answer, terrible answer."
yeah. That's the kind of behavior that he would openly lament on First Take. That is just not. That is not a good teammate right there. That is passing the buck if I've ever seen it. That's a bad look for Stephen A. Smith.
He doesn't do humility very often, does he? Does he?
Does Stephen A? Yeah, I mean he has a voice.
He does.
It's in his locker.
Yeah.
He can do humility.
Wasn't this the time for it when you lose 5-16
No. This is a time for cartoon characters.
It feels like we're setting up for Amin to do a limited fake, but he's not here, so I don't know what we're going to do about it.
Actor Will Smith, Dodgers catcher Will Smith.
Well done.
Don't forget
that's good. That's second
pass
place right
rusher
there.
New Orleans Saint Will Smith too.
Oh,
Former Buckeye.
Not better than Michael
Does
Jordan.
that? No, it
but we're
doesn't.
playing the game.
No, I mean, as the game, I'm just going to add more names and try to pretend
We're
I'm
having
catching
fun.
number 1. We're having fun. Greg, there was a question mark in the sky.
There was. I read that today. Aliens, aliens know that we're onto them.
Do that.
They do, and they're playing with us right now. They're messing with us. So they put a little question mark in the sky so that we would freak out.
This was daytime, nighttime? What happened?
Well, it's nighttime, of course.
No,
Oh, okay.
It's in
So there's
outer,
an image on the screen.
No, it's in
now if you're
outer
watching
space.
on
I don't think
YouTube.
outer space has daytime.
No.
Like it's not like
Yeah,
outer
there
space.
it is
you
right
look-
there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not photoshopped.
Look at the-
Aliens did that.
Look at the galaxies. There's a galaxy literally
It
right next
couldn't
to
look
it.
more Photoshop.
Yeah, it's in outer space.
That's a deep space telescope.
Is this like that thing where we found
Deep fake
out that like we
telescope.
were looking at this really great telescope and then it was like, oh, it's actually a piece of chorizo that they took a picture of and it wasn't actually what we thought it was?
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible.
Wouldn't this be like a galaxy? Like, so aliens created a galaxy that we're seeing that's in the shape of a question mark just to mess with us?
Seems like a long way to go to mess with this tiny planet over here.
Well, but don't underestimate alien intelligence. Maybe to them,
I'd like
that's
to.
a day's work.
By the way, just this assumption that aliens are so much smarter than us. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay? Why do we have to just assume that aliens are so smart and that we're not? I have not seen an alien iPhone. I have not seen an alien anything. Like, why do we always assume that aliens are so much smarter than us?
Well, 'cause of
Why would the
UFOs.
question mark be the big move? Oh, we got them. A question mark. But
Exactly.
They just learn
If
our
they
language?
if they were so smart,
Right.
why would they do that? I haven't seen an alien flag on the moon. Have you guys? No. Seen an American flag there. And by the way, Russians trying to go to the moon and then crashing into it. Dum-dums.
That was
I'm
a big
with you.
victory for us.
If they were so smart, why do we have them? Why do we have them trapped? Why are we studying them? Are they really studying us?
Well, the assumption is that they're smart because they have technology that's totally foreign to us. And if you watch these videos of UFOs dancing across the sky, impossible for our technology to catch
That's the
up.
government, just so you guys know.
I'm reading an article now that says it is not a question mark built by aliens. It is a star-forming cloud.
That's exactly what the aliens want you to
Yeah,
believe.
right. That's what they want
You know
us
what I
to
was
think.
thinking about the other day is there's been so many sightings here on Earth of UFOs and unexplained phenomenon. But we have satellites in space. We have a space station out there. There's never been a sighting outside of our planet. So, why is that? Where are these UFOs coming from? And I was thinking, I was just
Are those supposed to be
workshopping.
Brian Windhorse fingers?
I'm just
Those were
workshopping.
terrible.
I'm workshopping.
Isn't it these two fingers?
I think it's this.
No, I
No,
think you're doing double guns. I think he was here.
Yeah, this
No,
is
I
the
don't
quote
think he
mark.
wasn't. He wasn't doing the Pistol Pete. He wasn't. It was. Yeah, he was doing.
Yeah, but 2 fingers is the
No, I
quote
think
mark.
I looked this up. I'm like a dog with a bone on this, but I think he threw up 2 fingers on each hand.
Guys, I do have a correction. Lewis got in my ear and let me know that we have not landed on the moon. Just in case. I wanted to
There you
make
go.
sure.
I miss Tony.
Yeah,
Where is
Tony.
Tony?
He says that Buzz Aldrin told him.
Yeah.
Not him, but the world.
Yeah. No, Buzz Aldrin has been edited all over the internet to make it sound like he's telling people flatly that they were never on the moon. And people are like, wow, that's crazy. He's telling people. And it's just like, can you not hear the clear edits? This is not real.
Why is that though? Why is that? And here's a theory that I was just chewing on. Is a hypothesis. What if the aliens are? We've always heard that we know more about outer space than we know about our own oceans. And there's places in the ocean. There are places in the ocean that are so remote that you won't find any human within 250 miles of it. What if the aliens are coming from our own oceans?
Then they're not aliens.
Fish.
Yeah.
No.
fish.
Alien. No, think about it. Alien is just something foreign to you.
Yeah, but we're talking about outer space aliens.
Okay, no. You're talking about outer space aliens.
No, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about space.
No. I'm talking about aliens.
Oh.
I'm talking about these UFOs. Where are they coming from? Why haven't they been seen?
So the UFO
outside of our
flew
planet?
out of the bottom
water?
of the ocean.
I don't
Seems-
believe this with conviction.
I feel
I'm just
like
asking the
it.
question. I've seen a UFO, and you know where I saw the UFO? Yeah, I saw a UFO when I was younger in San Diego. And you know where I saw it coming from? The horizon, the
You
ocean.
saw a UFO fly out of the bottom of the ocean when
No,
you
I
were
saw
younger
it.
in
I saw,
San Diego.
I don't want to say out
You
of the
hanging out
bottom
with
of the
Tony?
ocean. I saw it come from the horizon. I was on the West Coast, and there was nothing but ocean on that side. I saw this orb come from the ocean across the sky.
Well, you know the Earth's not flat, right?
No, I
like it's
understand.
around Earth, so things
It
look
would-
like they're coming out of the ocean.
Silly. It
when
would
it's just off in
explain the
distance.
drawings of the
But I was on the
aliens.
West
They
Coast.
kind of look like a fish, or at least they could be covered, swimming in the water, I think.
Well, I also have another theory that octopi.
100%.
Yeah, the octopus is an alien.
I agree with you.
Wait a second. What
And
is
so does
it
Lewis.
about because I've read a bunch of random facts about octopi, and I've never really remembered any of them.
Their
But
genetic
one
structure,
of them,
genetic structure is unlike anything else on our planet.
do they just like rebuild themselves? Is that what happens? What happens when they lose a tentacle?
It regrows.
Yeah, regrows.
It
Imagine that.
regrows. What happens to the tentacle that's lost? That doesn't turn into another octopus, does it?
No.
Oh, thank God.
It's
That'd be rad,
eaten
though.
by other fish, I would imagine. The loose tentacle.
Grilled up, delicious.
I know they are good. I don't like the suction cups though. I
Yeah.
like the other. I like the solid part.
I don't want to be looked at as some like Yahoo
Well,
over here.
It's a bit late.
What I don't want to like. I don't firmly believe this, but I'm just throwing out a theory. Is why isn't the space station? Maybe they have, and they're just hiding it from us. But we've run missions out to outer space. We have all these really expensive satellites out there, and yet for whatever reason, these UFOs, which are plentiful here on our planet and declassified now, we're talking about them out in the open. We've never really seen them outside of the Earth's atmosphere.
So
why is that?
You would suggest that this is the only planet with life then? Because
No.
there's not aliens coming from other places,
So
or
you
they
think
just
the-
couldn't?
No,
think
no,
the
you're putting words in my mouth.
Wait, the octopi then are shooting
I'm
the
asking.
spaceships out into space to then distract us and have us look in space for all of the octopus aliens when really they're just living in the bottom of the ocean the whole time.
There could be several creatures in the deepest parts of the ocean that can be accustomed to pressure that we don't know. Like you're a fan of the Meg. I mean, they just
I
discovered.
haven't seen the Meg 2
They just
yet.
discovered a deep ocean inside of the deepest parts of the ocean. I think somewhere off the coast of Australia, there's a whole nother ocean below the ocean. There's so much that we don't know because pressure doesn't allow us. Visibility is such that it makes it impossible. I'm just throwing it out there. I was thinking about this. I was not high. Just what if everything that we're seeing is actually from Earth itself?
You know what the deepest part of the ocean looks like? Close your eyes. That's what it looks like.
To the human eye.
I feel like you're changing here, Mike. So let me ask you a question. If you happen to be watching, let's just say, a Colts practice, and Anthony Richardson threw like a laser of a pass,
That was picked off.
but
for
it was
six.
intercepted,
well,
what
that-
would you think about it?
That's not hard to believe at all. Are you trying to paint a hypothetical here? I saw that all season long last year.
And what would you think about it?
Well, I would say that's who Anthony Richardson is.
You wouldn't be impressed by the interception, though.
I wouldn't. No, what? I don't.
I just
understand.
want to make sure you're not entirely turning into Tony.
No, I'm
because
not
right now it seems
Okay.
like you are.
Look, you're projecting onto me that I'm some crazy conspiracy theorist, and this is not. This is a theory, not. It is not a conspiracy. It is merely a theory, and I'm just running it by you.
10-day Mike.
I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just asking you if you'd like to.
You'd like us to think, are all the aliens coming from our own ocean? Like we just haven't covered that part of the ocean yet.
Yeah, I went back and forth as should I run this theory by some friends because I was worried on what they'd think of me, and you're just proving my point that I should just
That we're not your friends.
no, that I should have just shut my mouth because it's just something. It's interesting.
Let me.
I didn't pick that up from anywhere. I just came that up on my own.
And Cowboy Carl said,
No, I didn't run it by Cowboy Carl.
"Oh,
Probably should have.
I think I want to defend Mike a
What's
little
that
bit here.
noise?
Do you?
Yeah, I want
my
to.
own.
I want to defend Mike here because, for the record, I don't believe in aliens, but that's from a lack of knowledge and information.
well, they've made that question mark. So now are you a believer?
No, because that's been disputed now.
Yeah,
Oh,
by
The
Lucy.
question mark. But
Do
I
you
will
not
say
believe in
this.
aliens
What's
because
what's Lucy hiding is the question, I think.
do you
Nothing.
do you not believe in aliens? There's some people that just flatly don't want to believe in aliens.
Right,
They
that
don't,
may be me.
They don't want to because it would make them question everything. That they hold dear, everything like whether it be it their deities.
Right.
It changes everything.
Was
I will.
Jesus an
I will
alien?
say this though: if we assume
Jesus and Jesus Luzardo.
If we assume alien life is so intelligent, then why don't we assume that there are aliens among us right now? Why do we assume
Kevin
that,
Durant.
that they're on some far-off, unnamed planet when they could be walking
Swimming
down?
in our
See,
ocean.
this is my guy right here.
They
Like
could
he's
be
asking the
among
important
us.
question.
It's because they see how we react when we just see something in the sky. Like, imagine how we're going to react. Hey, I was at Duncan yesterday.
It's also so
We don't
hot
know
right
that.
now. Why would you want a vacation here in the summer?
See, you all are thinking of aliens as green people with things coming out of their head. What if aliens can morph into a human-like
like
figure?
on the plane.
like Men in Black.
Yeah, and be among us.
I think we're all looking up to the stars and possibly, maybe, just maybe, we're looking in the wrong direction, my friends.
This is that slippery slope that leads to like the Jewish reptiles run Hollywood, right?
No,
No.
what the hell are you doing,
What's
Jeremy?
happening
No.
right now? No.
It's kind of what
man,
happens.
No, it's not.
It's kind
not.
of what happens.
It's not. No, I'm not. I'm just. I'm just
Kind of
curious.
watched it happen. over and over for the last like decade.
See what happens when you put yourself in that box, 10-day Mike?